Now, you may not be familiar with a term called coverture, but stick with me for a moment because I'm going to explain. Coverture was the law of the land in Europe and in America for the first 3.5 centuries, from colonization through the creation of the United States. And it's the reason women in the 1800s and before, and we're talking white women here, not enslaved black women, had essentially no rights over their money, land, or even their own bodies. Under coverture, married women were considered the property of their husbands, which meant they could not seek gainful employment or manage their assets independently. It wasn't until the women's rights movement in the mid-1800s that women began to gain financial and legal control over their lives. Specifically, the passage of the Married Women's Property Act in Mississippi in 1839 triggered a wave of similar legislation across the country that allowed women to regain ownership of their property. And that was all before women gained the right to vote, which didn't happen until 1920 and still didn't include all women. And even after that, there were still things women couldn't do without a husband or father's permission, including buying stocks and opening a bank account. Women didn't gain those rights until 1974, when President Gerald Ford signed the Equal Credit Opportunity Act into law. And that was 9 years after the Supreme Court gave women the right to use contraception, and 1 year after the Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade gave women the right to an abortion, a right the current Supreme Court majority rescinded in 2022. And apparently, it's not just Sam Alito and his 5 Leonard Leo friends who disagree that women achieving full citizenship was a good thing. Enter J.D. Vance, who has said so many disparaging things about women, specifically childless women. It is hard to put them all in one montage. But here is our good old college try.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too.
Just to be a little stark about this, I think we have to go to war against the anti-child ideology that exists in our country.
AOC has said, basically, if you look at her public remarks on this, that it's immoral to have children because of climate change concerns, right? This is, let's just be direct, a sociopathic attitude towards families. If you bought into an idea that it's liberating to leave an 8-week-old baby to go work 90 hours a week at Goldman Sachs, you've been had. When you go to the polls in this country as a parent, you should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids.
I mean, did anybody in the Trump campaign even vet this guy? And by the way, none of this is super old. That was Vance. I mean, this was Vance, as we played for you last night on this show just 4 years ago on a right-wing podcast, denigrating in one go menopausal women, grandmothers, and Indian women like his own mother-in-law.
They spoil him. There's sort of all the classic stuff that grandparents do to grandchildren. But it makes him a much better human being to have exposure to his grandparents.
Well, I don't know.
And the evidence on this, by the way, is like super clear.
That's the whole purpose of the postmenopausal
Yes.
female in theory. When your child was born, did your in-laws, and particularly your mother-in-law, show up in some huge way?
She lived with us for a year.
Right.
So, you know.
So I didn't know the answer to that.
Right. No.
That's this weird unadvertised feature of marrying an Indian woman.
No,
And just last night, when asked by a friendly host on Fox about what he would say to suburban women who are worried about abortion rights, this was Vance's response.
Well, first of all, I don't buy that, Laura. I think most suburban women care about the normal things that most Americans care about.
Joining me now is NYU history professor Ruth Ben-Ghiat. Ruth, thank you for being here. J.D. Vance has a long obsession, excuse me, with childlessness, with there being a problem that enough women in America are not bearing children. Talk about this obsession and how you fit that in the construct of his wider beliefs.
Yeah, this is, I mean, he is like a one-man compendium of misogynist ideas. And although it's unfortunate he's in the position of vice presidential candidate, it's useful for us to track this because he expresses these attitudes which are really at the roots of authoritarianism's war on women. Because, you know, I'm often asked, when do the kind of charismatic demagogues and authoritarians appeal? And it's often when women have made great strides in society. And my book shows case studies from, you know, after World War I, when there was tons of gender emancipation. Spain, 1930s, before the coup of Franco, women had won all these economic independence for the first time, and so on and so on. And it creates this kind of backlash. And so you get this focus, obsession with women whose value has to be in their ability to bear children, to be mothers. And so there's a whole century of this, and Vance is an example of this. But it goes all over the global right today. In Italy with Giorgia Meloni, you know, she says, oh, I'm breaking the glass ceiling. But she also says that my value is as a mother. So the childlessness obsession has demographic implications, has racial implications because it's usually tied to wanting more white Christian babies. And it's this massive fear and dread of female autonomy, female independence in all ways.
Yeah, I mean, to go to the piece about it being international, in Hungary, Viktor Orban encourages mothers in Hungary to have 4 or more babies. We will note that Mussolini argued that the Italian people have a duty to produce as many children as possible. He introduced a number of measures to encourage reproduction. Loans often offered to married couples. The part of the loan canceled with each new child. Any married man that had more than 6 children was made exempt from taxation. His regime outlawed abortion, restricted women's access to birth control. You've got Republicans, conservatives in red states who are getting rid of no-fault divorce, or at least trying to get rid of it. And then they're tying it to this other piece, which I think people don't often connect: immigration. Here is J.D. Vance talking about abortion and tying it to cheap labor and immigration.
When the big corporations come against you for passing abortion restrictions, when corporations are so desperate for cheap labor that they don't want people to parent children, she's right to say that abortion restrictions are bad for business. We should be for abortion restrictions, even if they are bad for business.
And the idea being that if they can do mass deportation, they must tie it to forcing American women to bear more children so that they can be the labor. I think people don't often tie all that together, but they certainly seem to.
Yeah, and it's really good we're talking about this because mass deportation on a truly old dictator scale, they're talking about 15 million people being deported, is part of Project 2025. And it's part of what Trump said in his interview with Time magazine, that they would deport 15 to 20 million people who would be undocumented immigrants, people of color. And that creates a need for more babies of the right race and the right religion. So these things are always tied in history.